debt which this nation owes to the pilots of the X-15 and to their collaborators on the ground can never be paid in cash or glory. It will be paid in terms of the satisfaction which each will receive from the knowledge of the part he is playing in freeing man from the surly bonds of Earth and making space travel both possible and practicable.
That was just part of a tribute paid the personnel of the X-15 flight program by a member of the United States Senate. To demonstrate the important role you men of the pilot rescue team play in the X-15 program, and to impress upon you the serious responsibilities of your duties, this film has been prepared. A successful flight of the X-15 is a matter of great satisfaction to all of us. An invitation to relax and allow the built-up tensions to dissipate. However, when an emergency develops which endangers the pilot or the aircraft, the pilot rescue team is committed. Each man, thoroughly trained in his duties, acutely aware of his responsibilities, must perform swiftly, safely, and in complete team coordination the tasks for which he has been prepared. The difference between life and death for the pilot or any member of the rescue team, and in either minor damage or total destruction of one of the most advanced research aircraft in the world, depends on each one of you. This film cannot cover every contingency, so we'll confine ourselves to demonstrating the correct procedures and techniques which must be observed to conduct a safe and speedy rescue with minimum risk. The safety of human life is of paramount importance, with protection or recovery of equipment as an extremely desirable secondary objective. To be able to recognize and overcome any hazard, it is necessary to be thoroughly familiar with the aircraft and the areas in which hazards can or do exist. Avoid such areas whenever possible. But when any hazard must be faced, use every precaution to eliminate danger to the pilot and rescue personnel. To perform rescue procedures quickly, efficiently, and safely, this then is safety rule number 1. Be thoroughly familiar with the aircraft. Recognize and estimate hazards quickly. Apply immediate countermeasures to decrease the danger. This cutaway view of the X-15 illustrates the structure of the aircraft and the areas of potential or existing danger. The nose contains a flow direction sensor. Immediately behind the ball nose are 8 monopropellant attitude rockets, using hydrogen peroxide as fuel. Similar rockets are installed in each wingtip. The cockpit and equipment section is of an inner and outer concentric shell construction. An electronic equipment elevator is installed in the equipment bay, aft of the cockpit. Behind the electronic equipment section, 2 auxiliary power units, several small tanks, and related equipment are housed. To the rear of the cockpit and equipment section are the propellant tanks. A liquid oxygen tank forms the forward part of this section. Installed through the center of the liquid oxygen tank is a cylindrical container of helium. Behind this section is a small equipment compartment and a helium tank. The balance of the intermediate part of the fuselage contains the fuel tank. In the rear section of the fuselage is located the YLR-99 engine, a 97-gallon hydrogen peroxide tank, and related engine equipment. The propellants and gases must be considered as extremely sensitive and some unstable. So in case of actual or possible leakage, use every safety precaution. Instructions for the treatment of equipment or personnel accidentally exposed to any toxic element are contained in the instruction manual. A copy of the X-15 Pilot Rescue Procedures Manual has been given to each of you. In it, the dangers of these elements are fully described, with instructions for emergency treatment if exposure does accidentally occur. It has been prepared in convenient pocket size. Carry it with you and read it. Read it again and again until you are capable of reacting instantly to any possible emergency and applying the correct remedial procedures without delay. The success of any enterprise is knowledge, knowing what to do, when to do it, how to do it. It's all here in this book. But in an emergency, the pilot won't have time to read it. Neither will you. So study it, absorb it, memorize it. It is life insurance for the pilot and for you. This next illustration shows the proper method of approach to the grounded aircraft. The shaded areas within the 50-foot circle indicate high hazard. The 100-foot circle represents reduced hazard area. This zone is the safe pathway of approach to the X-15 cockpit. The H-21 and ground support equipment is shown safely positioned here, here, and here. Only the two designated members of the rescue crew and appropriate fire department personnel and equipment are permitted within this 100-foot circle during the pilot rescue phase of the operation. The other members of the rescue team stand by outside the 100-foot circle, prepared to render any necessary assistance. After the X-15 pilot is rescued and removed from the area, crew members will enter the area and depressurize the aircraft. Finally, all other personnel having duties or functions to perform will complete the phase of aircraft recovery. We have now established safety rule number 2. Approach the X-15 cockpit through the safety zone. X-15 emergency situations can be classified in 2 categories, which we will identify as Emergency Condition Type 1 and Emergency Condition Type 2. A Type 1 emergency consists of an onboard identified emergency situation which could develop into a more serious hazard. The pilot is conscious and capable of full cooperation with the rescue team. Indicated procedure then is quickly and safely remove the pilot from the aircraft. Vacate the immediate area to allow fire department and recovery personnel to control the situation and minimize damage to the aircraft. A Type 2 emergency is encountered when there is an onboard emergency situation of extreme hazard, liable to become critical at any moment to the level of major fire or explosion. The pilot may be conscious, injured, or unconscious, placing the burden of making all judgments and decisions on the rescue team. Indicated procedure in this situation is cut initiator hose to disarm the ejection seat. Blow canopy. Blow headrest, which will automatically disconnect all the pilot's leads. Remove pilot from the cockpit and leave the area with the utmost speed to allow the fire department and recovery personnel to take immediate steps to protect the aircraft. The correct procedure to be followed in a Type 1 emergency is shown in the following sequence, done slowly and deliberately so that the proper procedure and technique can be clearly demonstrated. Each step of the rescue procedure will be shown separately. However, in an actual rescue, the steps would be performed simultaneously by both rescue men working in unison. Remember safety rule number 2. Always approach the X-15 through the safety zone and avoid the danger areas. Check condition of the pilot. On approval of the pilot, open the canopy by pushing external rescue panel button. Rotate handle up and back to release canopy. Pilot completes post-flight checklist and necessary operations to secure aircraft. Install 3 safety pins to disarm the seat ejection systems. Pin number 1. interlock torque tube assembly on canopy deck, located at right rear of ejection seat. Pin number 2. Ejection handle safety pin on right arm of seat, forward. Pin number 3. Restraint emergency release handle, just in front of pin number 2. Seat ejection systems are now secured. Release parachute risers and parachute D-ring retainer strap, quick disconnects. Completely remove the lap belt buckle. Press 2 foot restraint release buttons if pilot's feet are locked in stirrups. Keep pilot's helmet visor closed if any breathing hazard is present. Pull green apple to activate pilot's emergency oxygen breathing system. Turn X-15 oxygen selector valve to off and pressure suit vent valve to closed. Release pilot's personal lead, quick disconnect. Assist pilot in exit from cockpit and vacate danger area. Now let's watch a simulated emergency rescue in which the rescue team will follow the procedure you have just seen with speed and precision. As the ground support equipment stands by, the X-15 pilot's voice is heard over radio communications.
NASA 1, 670. I have an engine fire warning light.
Ed 30 to all Ed units. X-15 reports engine fire warning light. Aid rescue personnel and X-15 pilot.
We have an emergency, and the rescue procedure begins. Well done. Exactly 52 seconds, and the rescue operation is completed. The procedures for a Type 2 emergency are designed to reduce to the absolute minimum the length of time that the pilot and the rescue team will be exposed to danger. In this extreme situation, never plan to or use any ejection device without first cutting the initiator hose. This must always be the first step. That's safety rule number 3. Cut initiator hose to disarm the ejection seat. Now let's watch such a rescue demonstrated and note the difference in time required. Very well done. And the elapsed time for this rescue was 19 seconds. Now that you're familiar with the established rescue procedures, we must consider the possibility that an emergency may arise while the X-15 B-52 are still mated, and an elevated platform must be provided from which the rescue team can operate. A number of vehicles are available for this purpose, and the method of employing them is shown in the following scenes. Assuming that the rescue procedure applicable to a given emergency has already been completed, we will confine this training sequence to the actual exit or removal of the pilot from the elevated X-15. The Fire Department Special Rescue Vehicle is perhaps the most adaptable unit designed for rescue service. Raised to the required height and positioned alongside the X-15 cockpit, it affords an extremely safe and stable platform onto which the X-15 pilot can be assisted or, if necessary, carried. The vehicle is backed away from the aircraft, and the boom is lowered to the ground. After medical personnel remove the pilot, the vehicle is withdrawn from the danger area. This is the O-11 fire truck. Using the roof of the cab as a platform, the rescue team can assist or lift the pilot out of the cockpit. Then pilot and rescue team immediately crouch or lie down on the roof as the vehicle quickly backs out of the danger zone. The O-11 fire truck is available at most emergency landing sites. The other vehicles are maintained only at Edwards. When the existing hazard constitutes a danger to the B-52, the fire department is simultaneously providing protective coverage for the crew as they evacuate the aircraft. The third vehicle available at Edwards landing site is the R-2 rescue vehicle. The procedure is similar to that used with the O-11 fire truck. Transfer the pilot from the X-15 cockpit to the roof of the vehicle, crouch or lie down, and ride out of the danger area. The NASA 11 carryall can be used in exactly the same manner. Which vehicle is used in any specific emergency will depend on which one is most readily available. This film has shown just a small part of the essential knowledge you must possess to carry out your assignment successfully. In this manual, there is more, much more. All of it designed to reduce to the bare minimum any risk to the pilot and to you. This is a very important part of your basic equipment. But when you need the information, you won't have time to look it up. Only what you have in here will count when the pressure is on.